You know, one thing about chord tones, they've got soul. Friends and neighbors, welcome back to the Brownstone. I am glad you're here. Today we're talking about chord tones, and what we are going to do is create a very cool little bass line that just uses chord tones. That's it. And we're going to use two chords. We're going to use C major and D minor. Why? Because both of the chord tones of these chords can be found within our trusty C major scale. Now, if you remember the scale, we're going to be using the old tried and true 2/4, 1/2/4, 1/3/4 pattern. I've done many videos about this scale shape, so I'm sure you know it by now. At least I hope you do. When we take the idea of playing a note and skipping a note in that scale, what we're doing is creating chords, and in doing that, we're playing the chord tones of said chord. So if I start from that note C, the first note of the scale, and play the first note, the third note, the fifth note, and the seventh note, that's the root, the third, the fifth, and seventh of a C major 7 chord. Now, if I go to the second note of that scale and I play the first note here, this is going to be my root note. Now, if I use the same logic and skip a note every time, here's the second note of the scale. So I'll skip up to the fourth note of the scale. Here's the sixth note of the scale. And I'm back to the octave, or the eighth note of this particular shape. What I have here now is the chord tones of a D minor chord. Here's the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh. Now, if we look at the scale itself, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So let's first take a look at the chord tones of our C major. Remember, there's C at the root. Here's the third. This is the note E. At the fifth fret of the D string, that's the note G. And then at the fourth fret of the G string, that's the note B. We've got C, E, G, and B. Now, I want you to know where all of these notes are going to be. And just practice that. See if you can get that pattern under your fingers, because we're going to expand this pattern. Now, here is where you're going to need a pen or pencil and piece of paper or some sort of writing implement and something to write upon. Because here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down those 4 notes. C, E, G, and B. Once you've written them down, what I want you to do is figure out where all of those notes appear between the open strings and the 5th fret. If we take the note C, we have a C at the 3rd fret of the A string, but it also appears at the 5th fret of the G string. If we take the note E, that's at the 2nd fret of the D string, but we've also got the open E, right? If we take the note G at the 5th fret of the D string, we've got the lower octave of that G at the 3rd fret of the E string. And then with the note B, that appears at the 4th fret of the G string, but the lower octave of that B appears at the 2nd fret of the A string. So now we've got some more options if we want to play the chord tones. And we can just go through and play all of those notes. Remember, the notes are C, E, G, and B. So let's say I start from that C at the 5th fret and basically play the highest note down to the lowest chord tone of C major. So here's C, here's B, there's the G, there's E, there's the 2nd C, Second fret of the A string, that's another B. Third fret of the E string, there's another G. And then we have the open E. Now, I just want you to run that pattern. Just get to know where those notes are going to be located. And then play them ascending as well. Let's do that again. C, B, G, E, and then again, C, B, G, E, and then we'll go up. G, B, C, E, G, B, C. Got that? Hope it makes sense. So as I said, we are going to be doing the chord tones for 2 chords. That was the first chord. So before you move on and learn the chord tones of the D minor, which we'll be getting to next, really get that pattern playing all of the possible chord tones of the C major under your fingers. Recognize that entire phrase as a full shape so that you understand where all of those notes are going to be without even thinking about it. You just have the shape under your fingers, locked in the muscle memory. Once you have that down, then you can move on. So now we're going to move on to the notes of the D minor 7 chord. And what we're going to do is the same thing that we did in the beginning of this lesson. We start from that second note of the scale, that's D. And then we go to the 4th note of the scale, that's F. That is the 3rd of D minor. Here's the 5th of D minor at the 2nd fret of the G string, that's A. And then if we go up to that C that we played before at the 5th fret of the G string, that's going to be the 7th of the chord. So, root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th of D minor. Those notes again, D, up to the F, up to the A, and then up to the C. So once you have that initial shape down, then it's up to you to write these notes down. D, F, A, and C. Then it's up to you to recognize where all of those notes are going to appear between the open strings and the 1st fret. If we're locked into our C major scale pattern, then that D is going to be there, and that's the only place that it appears. I say that because you can use the open D, but I would rather stick to the shape of the scale, right? So there's D. That's the only place it appears. Here's the F. We have the F at the 3rd fret of the D string. That's the 3rd of the chord. But it also appears at the 1st fret of the E string. So now we have 2 places to play F. A. There's our 5th at the 2nd fret of the G string. Where else does that appear? Well, we've got an open A. And then the 7th of the chord is the note C. We already know that the other C appears at the 3rd fret of the A string. So once you've found where all those notes are going to be, then you can write those down as well so that you have every instance of our chord tones for C major and for D minor. So if we run all the notes, the chord tones of the D minor from the highest note to the lowest note, then here we've got C down to the A. There's F. There's the root note, D. Here's C, down to the A, and then down to the F. So, there's our shape for all of the chord tones as they appear on the first 5 frets of the fretboard for the D minor. So here's the next step. Once you have these 2 shapes down, then I want you to play them. back to back, going back and forth between C major and D minor. So C major 7 to D minor 7. And we'll do that same pattern where we start from the highest note and go down to the lowest note. So remember, the notes of the C major 7 are B, G, E, and C. And then they also appear as there as well. Right? All right, so that's the first shape. And the second shape, D minor. We have the C, which is the 7th, down to the 5th, A, down to F, down to D. And then we have C, A, and then F. So let's run those two shapes back to back. It's going to be a challenge, but you can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just letting you hear the pattern. And then as you play this exercise, I want you to name the notes. We'll do C major again. We'll name the notes this time. B, G, E, C. B, G, E. Back up to G, B, C, E, G, B. Keep going. One more time. 3, 4. B, G, E, C. B, G, E. Back up. G, B, C, E, G, B. Now we're going to do the same exact thing for that D minor 7 chord. We're going to start from the 7th and go all the way down to the lowest possible chord tone. In this case, it's going to be the F at the 1st fret of the E string, right? So starting from the 7th, which is going to be the note C at the 5th fret of the G string, and then we move down those chord tones, right? Same tempo, you know the notes, they're up there. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen to the pattern. Now name those notes. C, A, F, D, C, A, F, and then back up. A, C, D, F, A, C. Let's do it again. 3, 4. One more time. 4. C, A, F, D, C, A, F, A, C, D, F, A, C. That's the exercise. All right, once you have those two patterns down, we can add the element of groove. I've got Anna 2 here. By the way, Anna 2, I get asked this a lot. Anna 2 is a pedal known as the Beat Buddy. I did a video on this pedal a long time ago on this channel. Maybe I'll link it below or I'll put it here or something. And that video will give you the full rundown of the pedal. It's called the Beat Buddy, but to me it's affectionately known as Anna 2. So now we're going to add a little bit of groove, and all we're going to do is play those two patterns back to back. Go back and forth between the C major 7, the chord tones of the C major 7, and the chord tones of the D minor 7, just as we have been doing. But because now we've added the element of groove, we're gonna zhuzh it up a little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. Root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. There's the pattern. So you can hear how we've just created a bass line using the same pattern that we learned when we learned the shapes of these chord tones. So just by adding a little bit of phrasing here and there, we've created a nice little bass line that we can then practice. The cool thing about this is you can do this with any chord. Learn the chord tones of any chords and then find every particular instance of each of those chord tones as they appear on the first 5 frets, including the open strings, right? It's a beautiful way to really get to know the fretboard so that you can use shapes that just go beyond 1 octave of your chord tone shapes. My dear friends and neighbors, I'm going to leave it there. Hey, listen, if you like this video, you know what to do. Click that old like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that notification bell to let you know when new videos are being released on this channel. And there are a number of ways that you can donate to the channel and join the channel. Links will be in the description box below. And as always, I thank you so much for visiting me here once again in the Brownstone. And I'll see you in the next video very soon. Peace.